Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spin Rack. I'm here with my boys PD and Cal. Say what's up, guys.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, ready to rock?
So Cal, I have a question for you, my friend. I don't know if you heard the whole new thing about Jonathan Kent, that they want to call him Super Son, and they're sticking him in a new series called The Secret Six. Can you what's your thought on that? And can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Jonathan Kent was introduced as Superman's son, and he was liked from the onset. The audience did not have to warm up to him as what happened with Damian Wayne. People liked them. It was a cool scene. They paired him up with Damian Wayne, and because of their different character, different personalities, that made for a very successful run of comics called Super Son. Then they decided to allow Brian Michael Bendis to age him to a young adult. I pay him right now, he's probably like 17, 18, maybe even he might be as old as 21 at this point right now. He was then given he was then it was then said that he's bisexual. He was given a pink-haired boyfriend named Jay Nakamura, and they no longer know what to do with his character. He's too old to be Superboy. He cannot be Superman. You have other characters you have Connor Kent, who is running with the moniker Superboy. Of course, you have Superman. You then have new Superman, Keenan Kong. So you've got other characters out here. He has no niche for himself. And then we just did Absolute Power, where he was violated, turned into really one of these bad villains for this the space of 3 issues. Where he just goes ape scat, and now of course he has to deal with the guilt that, oh, look what I did. And he's now in Secret Six. There is no reason for any member of the Superman family to be in a group like Secret Six. It makes no sense. Justice League, Teen Titans, okay. Secret Six, no. These are villains and clandestine heroes, spies, if you will. It makes no sense for him to be there. But it is a very glaring observation that they no longer know what to do with him. And a slap in the face. It's insulting that he went from having a moniker for himself to now he's the Super Son. Damian Wayne is still Robin. That's his moniker. Once he took it, he was Robin. Superboy is now reverted back to Connor Kent, and Jonathan Kent has no name, no purpose, no reason for being.
Wow. Didn't you say there was something about super that they're bringing back the Superboy, which is reincorporating that history in Superman? Can you just give us a little bit more about that?
Well, that's Superboy Clark Kent. That's We're now saying, okay, once again, Superboy had a career as, rather, Clark Kent had a career as Superboy. So he didn't just spend his time on the Kent farm or in Smallville getting a power here and there and, scooting around making a red and a blue streak. He actually was doing something as Superboy. This also probably reestablished his ties with the Legion of Superheroes, which they also tried to give to John Kent unsuccessfully. So that has no bearing on John Kent. The fact that Superman had a career as Superboy would actually play in very well because it would be helpful to Superman in terms of training John Kent if he was still a boy. But that's not the case. I mean, literally, they did everything possible to take any sort of foundation that they had started with the character. And now he's here. He's, just adrift. I mean, he's on the team with the Secret Six. It makes no sense.
Hmm. So here's a question. Do you think at least the Jonathan Kent in the what is this, Superman and Lois, that they would ever that he was so popular that they would want to do a show based off of him?
No.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Well,
Wait, are you talking about Jonathan Kent or Jordan Kent?
I'm
Because
confused with the
Jonathan Kent didn't get powers until the last season. So
right.
I don't know how popular. I don't know if that's the character you're talking about. You're talking about the curly haired one or the straight haired
No,
one?
the straight haired one at the very end when he got his powers. I thought the
Well,
some people.
he didn't get enough time.
Okay,
The person who had powers the majority of the time was Jordan, and Jordan was a borderline supervillain. So there's no way that this kid should be they should have got like some red kryptonite, red solar radiation, and took powers away from him. You know, Jonathan is definitely closer to his father in demeanor, but they had like a handful of episodes with him having powers. I don't see why they would want to build a show around the guy.
So overall, what is your assessment of Jonathan Kent going forward? What do they need to do
They
to
need to make him a kid again. He was good as a kid. People liked him as a kid. People were still getting to know the character, you know, as a kid, and they goofed. Thankfully, this is fiction. So you can undo everything. They may be a bit hesitant where they're saying, well, if we undo it, what is that going to say to the LGBTQ community? What you tell them is we made a mistake. This doesn't work. And we've got other characters,
You don't do that.
we got other
Don't do
characters
that.
that you guys can vibe with. But this right
Oh,
now, you may like it, but it doesn't work for this character. It just doesn't. Okay, we should have never aged him. We should have never put him in a relationship. This character was growing organically quite nicely, and we messed it up. We need to get him back to where he was. We apologize for the mistake we made.
okay, well, thank you very much for all that.
And
Um,
mind you, this should not be made until he can't be put in the best possible structure for him to be manipulated as a character, because we're worried about any potential backlash, because he was not this was not this was a character who was always bisexual. He was a kid, and then he was made an adult. He then had a relationship with one of the Legionnaires. I can't remember her Saturn Girl, because he was over here snogging Saturn Girl at one point,
wait,
and then the next
Jonathan Kent? Jonathan
yeah,
Kent was?
yeah, he was snogging Saturn Girl at one point, and then the next thing you know, he's with Jay Nakamura. So none of this stuff was like, okay, oh, this is one of the few characters. Like, no, 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 no. They did really good work with him, and then they decided to just throw stuff at the wall with him, and it made no sense. So anybody who's like, oh no, we're really invested in this, I'm sorry, it's not good for the character. There are other characters you can get invested with, but this character has no. He's literally on a secret team with his boyfriend.
All right. I
Okay.
got I gotta ask this. So you're saying that his sexual identity, they need to get rid of that and make him a kid.
No, they need to get rid of all of it and get him back to being a kid. Everything that happened once Bendis got on, forget, all of that. Just get rid of it, because none of it has worked. Okay? Him becoming older hasn't worked. Him having a relationship with Saturn Girl didn't work. Him being with Jay Nakamura doesn't work. None of it works. And you can see how bad it is. You can see how bad it is because he's on the Secret Six team with Jay Nakamura. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at the end of the day. So, and before somebody comes at me, oh, well, Black Canary and Green Arrow are on the Justice League together. Yeah, Green Arrow was there long before she got there. So, not the same, definitely not the same thing. Just go back to what you had before. That was working. It was popular. People liked it. Nobody's digging this. And the whole idea to keep it in line because you're afraid of backlash, sometimes you got to weather that, and you just got to own up. Look, this was not a good move on our part. This was working. We're going to get back to this. This works for this character.
well, thank you very much for that, our resident Superman expert. Anything else, Peter, you want to add before we close this out?
No, I think what was it? And the Asian Superman, is he all the way gone?
No, he's still there's nothing. He's not going anywhere. He's there.
He's got his own comic book still?
Uh, he's been appearing in Action Comics.
Okay. All right. So he's showing up at some point.
No, that's the problem, because you got Supergirl, you have Power Girl, you have Superboy Connor Kent. You also have new Superman, who's Keenan Kong. And then after Superman went to Warworld and came back, he brought back two kids who were like refugees. So you got these kids. So you got the super family. That's not even counting Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Perry White. So this is the biggest his cast has ever been. But all of them have some sort of role, with the exception of his own son.
Interesting.
All right.
All right, hey, so if you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up, comments,
Spin the rack.
subscribe,
Out.
spin rack. Out.
Out.